Okay, yeah, so we are presenting from FCHH Hamburg. Oh, let me close the window. For the agricultural project, so it's Recep Sabas and myself, Juan Manuel. Oops. So a bit of context why we choose an agricultural project for one of the first FCHH Hamburg projects. And it's that, yeah, for 2050, it's expected to have a population of 9.4 to 10.2 billion people. So that's around 25% more people than today. And not only that, but the people that will be in the cities, it will increase from around 55% around today to 66%. So that means that we'll have to produce more food and we'll have less resources for doing so. On top of that, there's these estimations, because you can think, okay, it's 25% more people, so we need only 25% more, produce 25% more food. But there are some estimations from the FAO in this document of how to feed the world in 2050 that we will have to produce, the estimation is 70% more food, and with fewer farmers, and 70% more food, because we have to produce more food for more people. Also, there's more, with time, more people get out of poverty and they have more access to better nutrition, so they consume more food. And also we are moving towards producing more biomaterials of many kinds, like biofuels that also require like food resources to produce, or bioplastics like for 3D printing, like PLA and so on. So those are like the challenges, right? So producing 70% more food with less people in the fields, and also we need to be more sustainable and environmentally responsible. So we have like the examples of the traditional agriculture for like this staple food that is leading to soil degradation. So it is one of the problems that we have to think about. And also the excessive and inappropriate use of fertilizers and pesticides has polluted waterways. So we need to think how we produce enough food in a responsible way for over 9 billion people. So that's like the context of why we think it's important to think in these kind of projects. And so, yeah, these are the like the pillars that we think are important. So we need to enhance local agriculture production. So instead of producing in centralized places or to have to export a lot of food, so we need to enhance the local production, to improve the quality of soils, water, and the ecosystem as a whole, so to be more environmentally responsible. And we want to do this in the open source hardware framework, because we think it's crucial to have an open source machinery to achieve large scales at low cost. And I think, well, this is more or less the context and why we want to do this. Now Recep will present a bit what are our first steps and what we're thinking currently.
Thank you, John. And yes, we can divide our project to 3 different tasks. First, creation of our community with the regional and intercity participants. Secondly, building up our body of our robot, which includes tasks such as designing and testing the robots. Last but not least, we have also part of brain of our robot, which requires so much artificial intelligence models for agricultural purposes. And on the next slide, please. Yes, here we see our community, which is led by FCHH Hamburg, while Helmut Schmidt University gives technical support to the projects, good culture and Hamburger Klimaschutzstiftung gives support in farming-related tasks of the project, and we will also be using their gardens in Hamburg. And on the next slide, let's move to our body part of the robot. First, we should be aware here why agriculture robots are so important, and then we should start building our robots according to our needs on the project. Using artificially smart robots bring better management of natural resources such as water and soil in agricultural fields, this is for sure. And robots also help humanity on physically exhausting tasks, and most importantly, the technology compensates the reduced labor availability in the sector. And in the coming slide, we will see potentials of agricultural robots in our current sector. We can find automation solutions in planting and irrigating by using our robots. And at the same time, we can do monitoring in our agricultural fields by using our websites or kind of mobile apps. And when we can also make instantaneous pest controls by using any camera, and with also the support of artificial intelligence. And last but not least, with some mechanical support, we find solutions for pruning, weeding, or harvesting, or some other mechanical applications. Now let's move to our following slide, which gives more insight about our coming up Farmbot. And here in our currently coming up Farmbot Genesis X Large CNC type robot, with our seed injector on the left-hand side, we do planting, and with the rotating tool on the right-hand side, we do weeding tasks. By using camera, we will have the overall control of our almost 20 square meter area. And lastly, with watering nozzle on the middle of our presentation slide, we will automatize our irrigating task. And in the next slide, Joan will give more insights about artificial intelligence part of our project.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just to give a bit of an idea why we went with the Farmbot for now.
Yeah.
And it's because we are completely new in this field. And I think the Farmbot project is really nice. It's open source also. It's an open hardware project, and give us a framework where we can start to experiment and learn, and yeah, to play around to get into speed. So that's why we choose the Farmbot to start. And yeah, in my daily work, I work as a data scientist. So that's why I'm participating in this project. So now we are requesting applying for some funding for the AI part, or the brain of the robot, where we want to create new machine learning models, or adapt existing machine learning models to automatize previously only possible tasks for human interpretation, like diagnosing a pest on the plants, or some disease, or if the plants need more or less water, and so on. But for building those models, we need data. And I've been looking a bit around for open source data for agriculture. There are some data sets, but everything is so scattered everywhere. So one of the parts of the project will be to create the foundations of shared data sets or data resources in the global FAB cities, so we can all benefit from this data to create these new machine learning models. And then we'll do the integration of these models in the Farmbot together with the collaboration with the HSU University. So they have the technical side, and as Recep was saying, the Hamburg Climate Protection Foundation, they have a medium-sized farm in the north of Hamburg that is more for educational purposes. So we'll collaborate with them. We'll have a space inside the farm to test and develop these robots in the real field, and also show the local farmers and the local people how new technologies play an important role for the future of agriculture. This is the current team. So we have Teresa Teman. She's from the Hamburg Climate Protection Foundation. So this is our contact in that regard. And we have Benedict. He is the chairman of the board for the FAB City Hamburg Association. We have Jennifer Wilke. She's a an economist in project management. So she is helping us a lot for also how to frame these projects and how to apply for funding. And then Rejef as a mechanical engineer and myself as a data scientist. For more information on the projects for the Fab City, you can enter in the fabcity.hamburg webpage. Yeah, thanks for your attention. I don't know if there are any questions or comments. I mean, we're really looking forward to hear from the community because we are so new in this topic.
I don't know if anyone else has a question, but I do. Maybe you're aware of this project, Romy project. It's maybe not.
From Barcelona, right?
Yeah, from Barcelona. And
Mm-hmm.
I think also Helmut-Schmidt University was involved in this project.
Yeah, and also some private companies are involved.
It's Sony Labs and some other projects in. I don't know if you have looked at their or been in touch with them around their data sets. Have you?
We didn't talk about data sets, right, Joan? But I think we had general contact about how they organize and how they build and what kind of technical challenges they face
Okay.
these times.
Yeah,
yeah,
we
I
also
think
had some discussions with the people of Fab Labs and Fab City in Paris, because they also are working in agricultural projects, and they also train in machine learning models. So they also suggest some data sets. But again, it's like there are some data sets, but they are a bit scattered. So it would be nice to have some central place where we can share data sets with more structured metadata, to make it more useful for machine learning.
Yeah, I think it's really really interesting. And I think also like it's not how do you say, like it's not a standalone project. As you say, there are things happening, and the most interesting thing is how do you actually aggregate them around some kind of organizational model under the Fab City umbrella. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, exactly, because there are so many efforts that we are reinventing the wheel every time, so we should
exactly. Super cool.
Any other comment, question, critique, whatever? And if not, as I said, you can contact us in fabcity.hamburg, and also we have.
Maybe I have a question. I don't know. Do you hear me? I'm having a bit hard time. Mute name. Okay. I unmuted myself at least. I'm not sure how to turn right. Oh, here's the camera. I do have a question about the AI and training the AI, because agriculture, I presume, not familiar with that area at all, but is so scattered around and so locally dependent. So how do you get reliable data, and how do you train the AI when it's every time it's a little bit different? You know, climate is very unstable, and Hamburg has a very specific climate, probably very different from Barcelona, I presume, or other places.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the idea is to try to identify, like talking and discussing with the regional and global players to identify different plans that are important for each sector, and to try to find the basic common grounds that was to start with. Like, for example, I don't know, I can imagine something like corn. It's quite popular all around the world, or potatoes, or like to start with the easy ones or the most common ones, so we can cover a lot and we can all collaborate together. But yeah, definitely at some point we'll have to start to go into more detailed agriculture for each region, because yeah, it's different for each region. So yeah, you'll have to create independent models at some point, and maybe in the future we can learn from this to create a more smart or a global model somehow.
And maybe a follow-up, do you also work with or plan to work with farmers, some people who are really knowledgeable about these things, but probably not, they know how to do it, but never make those very explicit. Get more like storytelling type of, I don't know if you would call it data then, but at least context.
It's data. The problem is that it's not digitalized. So this is also part of collaborating with the local farmers to learn from them how to do the things. And we bring the new technologies. So we try to put it all together.
But I think good cursor organizations are so supportive and they are open to these technologies. And we are going to use their gardens. And I think they are really supportive and participative on this project. I feel this. So it is never possible to be just focusing in technical side. Of course, we need farmers for this too.
Well, good luck.
Yeah,
great project.
To some, maybe into what Evelina was saying, I think that gathering the data is pretty important, and I think that it's interesting having a database, as you said, of knowledge from all around. But it would be, I think we need to mix two things, like the data gathered through sensors, digital technologies, and everything, but also the indigenous traditional data, which is something that FAO is working right now a lot. And because one of the problems is that because of the desertion from the rural areas, this knowledge who has been like storytold for ages from seniors to younger generations, it's getting lost. So I think that if we create great data sets of digital data made out of sensors and also mix them with the agricultural knowledge, and we add to this, there's like some study from CTH Zurich that they say that, for example, the weather of Barcelona, of London, it's going to be like the weather of Barcelona, or Madrid, it's going to have a weather similar to Marrakesh. So maybe even the knowledge that I have nowadays of my region could help in the future someone who will have the knowledge of my region, and vice versa. So I could get the data or the information of someone whose weather it's going to be like mine, and I don't know, it's just an idea. I also working in a project trying to gather data and grow plants in different weather. So I think it's pretty interesting what you're saying.
I haven't thought about that. That's a very interesting idea to anticipate climate change and to try to adapt these models for new climate.
Actually, now that you brought up FCHH Zurich and this long-term data, maybe meteorology, like climate studies, can be also an interesting partner, or climate science, where they really look into long-term predictions and of changes. Because I think one of the problems might be not so much that the weather in Barcelona, or in London, is going to be like in Barcelona, but more that it's becoming more and more unstable. So you don't have like reliable patterns. So that's a different type of adaptability, which one probably would need in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe with like smarter forecast predictions, we can also use models to predict how to use our resources.
And there are really great models already out there. So.
Yeah, good idea.
And I think that also with the use of machines or the use of new robots that you were talking in the beginning. I got disconnected the last half of your presentation, so I got lost in a part. But I worked with some guys here in Barcelona building a Farmbot, which maybe you have heard of it. And the reality about these technologies, or at least this one, which is open source and accessible to the people, it's that it's not that easy to build. It still has like a lot of, it's not well calibrated, so it gets stuck, and some of the tools don't work as they should, and also the programming, and you need to learn another knowledge, which I have been helping these guys, but what I have seen is that if I don't do something with the robot, they don't do nothing. They're just like, yeah, we bought them, you build it, and hey, how do we water the plants? Okay, let me do the programmation for you. But I mean, it's not only the use of the robots, but also the learning of the knowledge of the use of the machines, which should be also teach in some way.
Yeah, teaching and also trying to every time lower the threshold to enter into these new technologies, right? To make it easier and more reliable.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. That is actually the end of the session because we're already at 2:30.
Yeah.
There's actually a session coming up also, which maybe will follow this in a way because it's about food and agriculture, although I think it's in French. So I think you might need to join this if you speak French. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. The project looks really amazing. And I hope when we join next time at the next summit that we're going to see an update. That would be really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and good luck with it. And always know that there's a big community of people who have lots of experience in different things, and I'm more than happy to give feedback and stuff. So reach out at any time. And yeah, see you online for the rest of the sessions. Thanks very much for joining, gang.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank you, guys.